There comes a moment in everyone's journey where the choice between reacting and responding defines everything. When emotions take over, it feels natural to let them guide you, because they are powerful and persuasive. Anger demands you act quickly, fear whispers that you should run, excitement pushes you to jump without looking, and sadness convinces you to stop altogether. These feelings are intense, and in the moment, they seem like the truth. But the reality is that emotions are fleeting. They come and go like storms. If you allow them to control your decisions, you will constantly be shifting with the winds, never truly steering the direction of your own life. Think about the times when emotion has dictated your choices. Maybe you spoke words in anger that you could never take back. Maybe you made promises in excitement that you weren't able to fulfill. Maybe you walked away from opportunities out of fear, only to later regret it. These moments feel permanent when you're in them, but when you look back, they reveal how fragile emotions really are. What seemed overwhelming in the moment eventually fades, but the consequences of decisions made in that state linger. That's the danger of letting emotions cloud your judgment. On the other hand, strategy gives you something emotions never can: clarity. Strategy requires you to step back, to detach for a moment, and to look at the bigger picture. It doesn't dismiss feelings, they still exist, but it doesn't allow them to take the driver's seat. Instead, strategy says, pause, breathe, look at where you are, where you want to go, and how every step connects. This clarity is what separates the people who rise above chaos from the ones who are consumed by it. Imagine a general going into battle, driven only by anger. He might charge forward recklessly, fueled by rage, but without a plan, he would lead his entire army into defeat. Now imagine the same general, aware of his anger but unwilling to let it decide for him. He observes, studies the terrain, understands the enemy's patterns, and moves with precision. The result is victory. Life is not different from this. If you want to win, you cannot let your impulses carry you into battles unprepared. You must learn to act with strategy, not just with emotion. Clarity is the gift strategy offers. When you are clear, you see beyond the moment. Anger may tell you to lash out, but clarity shows you the cost of broken relationships. Fear may tell you to quit, but clarity reveals the growth waiting just past discomfort. Excitement may tell you to take every opportunity that comes your way, but clarity reminds you that not every door is worth walking through. When clarity is present, your decisions align with your purpose, not just your feelings. It is tempting to believe that emotion is strength because it feels so powerful, but the truth is, unfiltered emotion is weakness when it rules you. True strength lies in mastering yourself. Anyone can scream when they're angry, but it takes real power to remain calm and deliberate. Anyone can quit when they're afraid, but it takes strength to stay steady in the face of uncertainty. Anyone can rush forward when they're excited, but it takes discipline to slow down and think. Emotion might give you energy, but strategy gives you direction. Without direction, energy is wasted. There is a reason successful people in every field are not the ones who simply react, but the ones who calculate. The athlete who stays calm under pressure, even when the crowd is screaming. The entrepreneur who doesn't panic when the market crashes, but instead studies patterns and moves wisely. The leader who doesn't let criticism make them defensive, but instead uses it as feedback for growth. These people are not void of emotion. They feel it like everyone else. The difference is that they do not hand over control to their emotions. They keep clarity as their compass. Clarity is not about suppressing what you feel. Suppression only creates more pressure, and eventually it explodes. Clarity is about recognition and transformation. It's the ability to acknowledge what you feel, but then to ask, what is the smartest way forward? It's standing in the storm of emotion, but refusing to let the storm decide your path. When you move with strategy, you allow yourself to feel, but you do not allow yourself to be led blindly. That is how clarity is born. Life constantly tests this balance. In relationships, emotions can cloud judgment and make you misinterpret intentions. In careers, emotions can push you to make decisions too quickly or too cautiously. In personal goals, emotions can make you give up too soon or chase distractions that don't align with your vision. Every area of life demands that you step beyond feelings and lean into clarity. Those who master this are the ones who achieve lasting success, not just temporary satisfaction. Think about the image of a stormy sea. Emotions are the waves, loud, unpredictable, crashing in every direction. Strategy is the lighthouse. No matter how wild the storm gets, the light remains steady, pointing the way forward. Without that light, you're lost, thrown around by forces you cannot control. But with the light, even in the darkest storm, you know where to go. Clarity is your lighthouse. It doesn't make the storm disappear, but it gives you the strength to navigate through it. People often say, follow your heart. And yes, passion is important, but passion without strategy is chaos. If you follow your heart blindly, you might end up chasing illusions, mistaking temporary feelings for permanent truth. Strategy doesn't silence your heart, it aligns it with your vision. It allows you to take the fire of emotion and use it to warm your path, instead of letting it burn everything down. That alignment is where clarity thrives. The greatest victories are not won by the loudest, but by the most calculated. A person who is strategic is not swayed by every insult, every rejection, every obstacle. They don't let temporary feelings decide permanent outcomes. They know how to pause before reacting, how to see beyond the moment, and how to wait for the right time. This is what makes clarity so powerful. It frees you from the prison of the present moment and connects you to the bigger picture of your life. Every time you face a challenge, you are confronted with two choices. You can let your emotions take the lead, or you can choose strategy. If you let anger lead, you might destroy something you spent years building. If you let fear lead, you might never discover the strength within you. If you let excitement lead, you might waste your time chasing opportunities that don't serve your future. But if you let strategy lead, you will move with intention, and every step will bring you closer to your true vision. Emotions are like weather, they change quickly and often. You can't build a life on unstable ground. Strategy is like architecture. It requires planning, patience, and vision, but it builds something solid and lasting. The person who moves with emotion is like someone building a house on sand. The person who moves with strategy builds on rock. One collapses under pressure, the other stands strong no matter what storms come. It is not easy to step away from emotion. It is not easy to pause when everything in you wants to react. But that pause is where clarity is born. That pause is where wisdom whispers. That pause is where you shift from being a victim of your feelings to becoming the master of your choices. Every time you practice this pause, you grow stronger. Every time you choose clarity over chaos, you sharpen your vision. Every time you move with strategy, you reclaim your power. The world is filled with people who regret the words they spoke in anger, the opportunities they missed in fear, the mistakes they made in excitement. But very few regret being patient, being thoughtful, and being strategic. That's because clarity never betrays you. It may require sacrifice, discipline, and self-control, but it always leads you forward. So remember this, emotions are powerful, but clarity is priceless. Let your emotions be the fuel, not the driver. Let your strategy guide you, not your impulses. Because when emotion clouds your judgment, you lose yourself. But when strategy creates clarity, you find your true direction, and nothing can stop you. Every human being feels the full weight of emotions. Anger, fear, sadness, joy, excitement, frustration. These are not weaknesses, they are part of the human experience. The problem is not that we feel. The problem is what we do with those feelings. Left uncontrolled, emotions can consume us and lead us into chaos. But when mastered, emotions transform into one of the greatest sources of strength, and the key that unlocks this transformation is discipline. Without discipline, emotions are wild energy that scatter in all directions. With discipline, that same energy becomes focused, powerful, and unstoppable. Think of a river. When it flows uncontrolled, it floods, destroys, and washes away everything in its path. But when the flow is disciplined, channeled, and directed, that same river generates power, irrigates crops, and sustains life. Emotions work in the same way. Anger, for example, is destructive when it erupts in uncontrolled bursts. It burns bridges, damages relationships, and blinds judgment. Yet anger, when disciplined, becomes fuel for determination. It gives you the fire to stand tall against adversity, the strength to keep moving when others would give up. Fear, when uncontrolled, paralyzes and prevents growth. But when disciplined, fear sharpens your senses, keeps you alert, and pushes you to prepare. Passion, when uncontrolled, makes you reckless, jumping into everything without thought. But when disciplined, passion becomes a force that drives consistency, hard work, and mastery. Discipline does not silence emotion. It organizes it, channels it, and turns it into a tool rather than a master. Too many people believe that power comes from pure emotional intensity, from being louder, more aggressive, or more expressive. But true power comes from restraint. True power is the ability to feel deeply, and yet act deliberately. Discipline is the bridge between raw feeling and purposeful action. Without it, emotions control you. With it, you control emotions. When you watch people who achieve greatness in any area of life, you notice a common thread. They are not void of emotion, but they have mastered the art of discipline. The athlete on the field feels the pressure of the crowd, the surge of adrenaline, the sting of fear, but discipline allows them to remain calm, to follow the plan, to execute with precision. The musician on stage feels nervousness, excitement, and even doubt, but discipline keeps them focused on their craft, hitting every note with skill. The leader feels the weight of responsibility, criticism, and expectation, but discipline keeps them steady, preventing rash reactions and enabling wise decisions. These people have not killed their emotions. They have disciplined them until those emotions serve their purpose instead of destroying it. The truth is that emotions are energy, and energy is neutral. It is neither good nor bad. What makes the difference is how it is directed. A disciplined mind takes the raw energy of emotion and channels it into progress. An undisciplined mind wastes it on impulses, regrets, and mistakes. The difference between someone who breaks down under pressure and someone who rises through it is not the absence of emotion. It is the presence of discipline. Discipline teaches you how to pause. It creates the gap between stimulus and response. Without discipline, you react instantly, and reactions are often regretted later. With discipline, you create space to think, to breathe, and to choose wisely. That space is where transformation happens. That space is where emotion turns into power. It's not about suppressing what you feel, but about holding it long enough to redirect it into strength. Anger held in discipline becomes resilience. Fear held in discipline becomes awareness. Passion held in discipline becomes vision. There will always be moments in life that test this balance. Someone will provoke you, and your instinct will be to lash out. Something will scare you, and your instinct will be to run. An opportunity will excite you, and your instinct will be to jump without thinking. In those moments, discipline is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Discipline allows you to feel the rush of emotion, but still move with strategy. It allows you to act not as a prisoner of the moment, but as the master of the moment. Consider the story of those who build lasting success. Success is rarely a result of one emotional decision. It is almost always the result of consistent, disciplined action. The student who disciplines excitement and instead studies every day eventually outperforms the one who only studies when motivated. The entrepreneur who disciplines fear and pushes forward with calculated risks succeeds where the fearful one retreats. The artist who disciplines passion and commits to practice daily creates masterpieces, while the undisciplined one burns out. Emotion sparks the beginning, but discipline sustains the journey. It is easy to be driven when you feel good. When passion is high, when motivation is strong, everyone feels unstoppable. But discipline is what carries you when the emotion fades. Discipline is what gets you out of bed when you don't feel like it. What keeps you focused when distractions are loud. What holds you steady when fear tries to overwhelm you. Without discipline, you are at the mercy of how you feel each day, and feelings are unpredictable. With discipline, you move regardless of feelings, and that is where true power lies. Look at the strongest people you know, not in physical strength, but in inner strength. They are not the ones who never feel afraid, angry, or sad. They are the ones who feel it all, but refuse to let it control them. They have mastered discipline, and through it, they have transformed their emotions into forces that push them forward instead of pulling them back. This mastery does not happen overnight. It is a practice, a daily commitment. Every time you resist the impulse to react and instead choose to respond, you strengthen your discipline. Every time you push yourself to act despite not feeling like it, you strengthen your discipline. And every time you turn emotion into focused action, you turn chaos into power. Discipline is not a punishment. It is not about restricting life or denying yourself what you want. It is about freedom. The freedom to not be controlled by emotions. The freedom to move forward even when your feelings try to hold you back. The freedom to direct your life instead of being directed by impulses. Without discipline, you are like a ship tossed around by waves, going wherever emotions push you. With discipline, you are the captain of the ship, using even the roughest waves to move toward your destination. Anger, fear, excitement, passion, these will always exist. They are part of being human. The difference is that most people let these emotions use them, while the disciplined use these emotions. Discipline doesn't remove feeling, it puts feeling into alignment with purpose. It teaches you how to control the fire, not extinguish it. And once you control the fire, it can light your path, it can forge your character, it can drive your purpose forward with unstoppable force. The more disciplined you are, the more powerful you become. This is why those who master discipline are unshaken by circumstances. They are not free from emotion, but they are free from being enslaved by it. They have taken the wild energy of their feelings and built it into strength, persistence, and clarity. And when life tests them, they do not crumble. They rise because their power is not temporary, not fragile, not dependent on fleeting emotions. Their power is built on the discipline that turns emotion into an unbreakable force. Life is often compared to a game, but the difference lies in which game you choose to play. Some play it like checkers, simple, impulsive, focused only on the immediate move. Others play it like chess, calculated, strategic, seeing not just what is in front of them, but what lies many steps ahead. The truth is, those who succeed in life are not always the ones with the most resources, the most opportunities, or even the most talent. They are the ones who treat life like chess, not checkers. They understand that victory is not won in a single move, but through foresight, patience, and strategy. Checkers is fast, paced, based on reaction and impulse. Every move is about the now, the immediate capture, the instant gain. It is a game of quick action but limited vision. Many people live their lives this way. They chase whatever feels right in the moment, whatever opportunity appears closest, whatever emotion is strongest. They jump from one decision to the next without considering where those decisions lead. The problem is that short-term wins do not always translate into long-term success. What feels like progress today may become a trap tomorrow. Chess, on the other hand, demands patience and vision. Every move matters, not only for what it achieves in the moment, but for how it sets up the future. In chess, a skilled player is not concerned with winning a single piece. They are concerned with positioning for victory in the endgame. They anticipate, they calculate, they prepare for counter moves, they see the bigger picture. This is how winners operate in life. They do not waste energy reacting to every little challenge or distraction. Instead, they think ahead, positioning themselves to turn obstacles into opportunities. To live like a chess player is to understand the importance of timing. Not every opportunity should be taken. Sometimes the best move is to wait, to observe, to prepare. Sometimes progress means sacrificing something small now for something greater later. The undisciplined person playing checkers cannot stand to wait. They want instant gratification, instant recognition, instant success. But winners know that true success takes time, and they are willing to invest patience, effort, and strategy into creating something lasting. Consider how many people make choices purely based on emotions. They quit a job because of one bad day. They destroy relationships because of one heated argument. They abandon dreams because of one setback. That is playing checkers. That is letting the immediate moment dictate the course of a lifetime. But those who play chess think beyond the moment. They ask themselves, if I walk away now, what does that cost me in the future? If I respond to anger now, how does it affect my long-term vision? If I give up now, will I regret it later? They move not with impulse, but with intention. The greatest achievers in history were masters of the chess mindset. They understood that every setback, every delay, every obstacle was not the end of the game, but simply another move on the board. They didn't panic when things didn't go their way, because they knew that patience and strategy could turn the game around. That mindset is what separates the strong from the weak, the builders from the quitters, the winners from the rest. When you treat life like chess, you no longer see challenges as the enemy. Instead, you see them as part of the strategy. In chess, a skilled player sometimes sacrifices pieces, not because they are losing, but because it positions them for a greater victory. In life, the same is true. You may lose comfort, you may lose time, you may even lose relationships, but these sacrifices can be strategic if they bring you closer to your ultimate purpose. The person who plays checkers thinks every loss is the end. The person who plays chess knows that temporary losses are often necessary for permanent wins. The chess mindset also demands that you know your own strengths and weaknesses. In checkers, every piece is the same, so there is little need for self-awareness. But in chess, every piece has a unique role. The pawn moves differently from the knight, the rook from the bishop, the queen from the king. Success in chess means understanding how each piece works and using it wisely. In life, the same principle applies. Winners know themselves. They know their strengths and they maximize them. They know their weaknesses, and they protect themselves from being trapped by them. Self-awareness is a strategic advantage that most people overlook, but those who want to win must master it. Another key element of chess is anticipating your opponent. The best players don't just think about their own moves, they predict the moves of the other side. In life, the obstacles you face, competition, doubt, criticism, fear, are like opponents on the board. If you don't anticipate them, they will catch you off guard. But if you study patterns, if you prepare mentally, if you expect setbacks, you will be ready to counter them. Winners are rarely surprised by difficulty because they have already accounted for it in their strategy. Patience is one of the hardest lessons of the chess mindset. In a world where people want everything fast, fast money, fast results, fast validation, it is rare to find someone willing to play the long game, but that is exactly why those who do stand out. If you're willing to wait, to build, to stay disciplined even when rewards are not immediate, you gain an advantage over those who quit too soon. The impatient burn out, the patient endure. The impatient waste energy on the small moves, the patient save energy for the decisive ones. This way of thinking also protects you from being manipulated by others. In checkers, a player can easily be tricked into jumping into a trap because they only see what's right in front of them. In life, people who act on emotion often fall into traps as well. Traps of debt, toxic relationships, bad decisions, unhealthy habits. They see something appealing in the moment, and without thinking ahead, they fall for it. But the chess player is not so easily fooled. They see beyond the bait. They recognize that not everything shiny is worth chasing. They understand that sometimes what looks like a gift is a trap, and they avoid it because they are thinking steps ahead. Living with the chess mindset also means valuing consistency over intensity. In checkers, a few bold moves can change the game quickly, but in chess, consistency and planning always outweigh recklessness. In life, many people start with bursts of energy. They work hard for a week, they stay disciplined for a month. But without consistency, they fall back into old habits. Winners understand that consistency is the real key to progress. They don't just show up when they feel like it. They show up every day because they know that each small, consistent move is building towards something greater. Perhaps the most powerful lesson from the chess approach to life is resilience. In chess, even when you lose pieces, the game is not over until the king is checkmated. A great player knows how to recover, how to re-strategize, how to turn even the weakest position into a fighting chance. Life is the same. You may lose opportunities, money, time, or relationships, but none of that means the game is over. As long as you are still on the board, as long as you are still breathing, you still have moves to make. Winners don't give up just because the position looks difficult. They adapt, they adjust, and they keep playing until they find victory. To win in life, you must constantly remind yourself, don't play the game of checkers when the world is playing chess. Don't waste energy reacting to every small move. Don't chase instant gratification while sacrificing long-term fulfillment. Don't let temporary emotions dictate permanent outcomes. Instead, be deliberate. Be strategic. Think beyond the moment. Position yourself not for today's applause but for tomorrow's legacy. The ones who play chess with their lives are not always the fastest, not always the strongest, not always the loudest. But they are the ones who endure, who outlast, who succeed when others fade. They are not shaken by short-term setbacks because they see the bigger picture. They are not distracted by shiny opportunities because they know where they are going. They are not controlled by emotions because they are controlled by vision. They are the ones who win, not because they were given an easy game, but because they learned how to play it with patience, foresight, and strategy.